So basically today what we're going to be doing is going over kind of a basic intro to analysis here in Currency House. So what is analysis? Well, analysis is basically how we predict the market. So when you start trading, the big thing that you need to learn is obviously kind of control over the platform or control over the functions that you're using on the platform. You want to make sure that you know the ins and outs of the platform, so you're not confused. Don't press the wrong button. That's kind of step one when it comes to trading. Step two when it comes to trading is actually making use of the market. So when you trade, you're using money to basically create more money. This is obviously an investment you're making. When any investment you make in life, there's always going to be the chance of risk. There's always going to be the chance that you lose the money that you invest, and that just comes it is. If there was no risk involved with trading online, everybody would do it and everybody in the world would be rich, right? So this obviously isn't the case, so there is risk involved in it. Some people do lose. That's not why we're not going to sugarcoat it. Some people do lose, and if somebody comes and tells you, look, you're guaranteed to make money here, they're not telling you the truth. I can guarantee it, but we at Currency House, we want you guys to be aware of that. We want you guys to make money. It's in our best interest that you do, so we want to make sure that you guys are as educated as possible, can understand analysis as best as possible, and this will obviously quell the risk that you bring forward when you start trading. And that's the most important part of education. It's obviously quelling the risk involved with any sort of investment that you're going to make in life. The worst investments obviously are things that are just a 50-50 chance. Those are the worst investments. Maybe this will work, maybe it won't, whatever, 50-50 chance, like playing roulette or blackjack or something like that. It's like even worse than 50-50 in some cases. So this is a very bad investment. A very good investment is something that you have control over, and you can use your own education and your own intuition in predicting the outcome of it. And that's what the market is, and that's what trading online is. It's basically the ability to make certain bets with money, but understand the outcome or potential outcome that will occur. So analysis is really important in that because it allows you to actually identify markets, identify trends, identify fundamental analysis by looking at different news events, by looking at a calendar of news, by looking at different countries compared to other countries. All of these things basically allow you to predict the market movement in a certain fashion. And it may seem super confusing to individuals who have progressed from step one, which is just basically mastering the platform, and are now trying to figure out, okay, now that I know the platform, why is this line going up? Why is this line going down? Well, people use their whole lives studying these things. So don't be worried if you can't get it right away. There's still pros out there that are totally baffled by some movements in the market. They just don't understand how it happens. But what you can do is you can try to understand basics for analysis and then look at charts and try to see what these charts are telling you. And that's the big thing, and something you'll start realizing the more and more you trade, and it's something I tell my traders all the time. The better you get at trading, the better you will be at basically just reading the charts, just seeing the charts and just seeing what they're telling you. You're eventually just going to be reading them, almost like reading a book. You're going to be seeing, okay, this is telling me that in the near future this will be going up this amount. I can see this. This is the historical trend for the last 20 minutes. If I stay in the trade for another 10 minutes, chances are I'm going to get out on this. This is the historical trend for a day pattern. If I stay in the trade for a week or so, this is the overall trend for a week. This is probably what's going to end up happening. Is there a fundamental news piece coming out in the near future? No, there's nothing to kind of knock the course of the current track. Those are all things that you're going to be able to have in your account and at your disposal when you're trading with Currency House. So we're going to show you guys a little snippet of how to do that. And obviously the analysis that you guys bring forward to your everyday trading. You obviously have your account manager to help you out with whatever you guys need when it comes to trading Forex. We're obviously here to help you and here to do what we can to make sure that you guys are the best to your ability. So if there is any confusion still with analysis at the end of the day, don't worry. It's very common to still be confused. It does require a lot of research on your end. I get people coming up to me all the time when I talk to them on the phone and say, I really need help. I really need someone to coach me through this process. Well, it's not even that simple. If I were to coach you even for 30 minutes, you would still come out the other end with a whole bunch of questions. And that's the thing. Trading on the market is not this one-stop shop that you're going to learn in an hour and make money in an hour. this is something that you're going to have to learn over a period of time, something that you're going to have to get very good at. And then once you get very good at it, you're going to make a whole bunch of money. So it does take time to build up your skill. But at the same time, your starting grounds and your first couple steps you take when it comes to analysis is really going to help you, because this analysis is how you predict the market. So that's what we want you guys to walk away from today, with just basic footsteps when it comes to analysis, what it is, how you do it, what you should be looking out for, how you can use the platform to help you, and what aids we have there currently that will be able to help you when you guys start trading more on the platform. So let's get into it. But today we really want you guys to know what is technical analysis, what is fundamental analysis, and how they relate to binary and Forex trading. So how can you use technical and fundamental analysis if you're trading on the binary platform or trading on the Forex platform? That's basically what we're going to cover with you guys today. So this is a regular trading screen. You guys will see if you log in. So this is a chart for Euro USD. So obviously this is an examination of the Euro in comparison to the US dollar. So this is basically a chart showing the overall economy of Europe, what's been happening with it. It looks like if we look at the overall historical trend for this current pattern, it's currently going up. Obviously there's intraday things going down, going up, going down, going up. These are all little different trends. So it's interesting to see, because this line right here is a massive representation of a specific economy out there. How they're currently doing in the market, how they're notching up when it comes to the United States dollar. This is an overall evaluation of the current economic conditions of the country, and that's generally speaking what a currency will do. Say you're looking at the USD CAD, for example. That's always a good evaluation of the Canadian economy. Pound USD or Euro USD, that's always a good examination of the Great Britain economy as well as the European economy. So this market indicator line or candlestick chart that you see here, so you can see candlestick pattern in a 15-minute increment up here. So this is going to be pretty big when it comes to analyzing the charts here, guys, are these two things right here, candlestick and the time. That's going to really be something you're going to have to pay attention to when you first start on the platform. Because when you see the candlestick patterns, if you zoom in, you'll see that each one, if you look really closely at the screen right now, you'll see each one looks like a candlestick, right? It's very simple. That's why it's called the candlestick formation. Now you've become even more knowledgeable trader by knowing that. You can impress your friends. So candlestick formation, each little wick or so represents the high and the low point of that specific time. So how much is each candlestick in representation of time? Well, to know that, you just need to look at this next chart right here. This is M15. What do you think M15 means? Well, it means that each candlestick represents about 15 minutes. So if you look at each specific time, it represents about 15 minutes in the marketplace and what happened. So it moves quite a bit. This is pretty small if you look at it, because it's just moving pips, which is basically a percentage of a cent, a small percentage of a cent at every time. But that's a lot of money when it comes to trading currency, because when you trade currency, you trade a whole lot of it. So when it moves a fraction of a cent, you really feel it. So basically this, like I said, this represents a candlestick formation, and it represents the 15-minute increment. So those can be changed all the time. A 15-minute increment might tell you something different than a day increment or a 30-minute increment or a 4-hour increment. It's always important examining candlestick formations on different time charts. It's going to show you different things. And that's especially important when it comes to technical analysis. The other thing I want you guys to know on the platform and to take note of, because we will be taking this later, I'll get on my spotlight just so you guys can see it a little bit better, is the calendar, news, and trader talk. So this is basically your two areas of expertise when it comes to both fundamental analysis and technical analysis. But let's take a bit of a step back here. So what is technical analysis? Well, technical analysis is basically examining patterns in the market to understand the overall movement of the market. So technical analysis is really important when you're looking at current breakouts in patterns and basically overall movement. So you can see here a thing called a trend is something that individuals look at quite a bit when it comes to technical analysis, where the chart is headed. Basically, not even looking at a news event or a news piece. If you just look at this chart, what is this chart telling you? That's basically technical analysis, using the movements to basically tell a story of the overall currency or whatever you're examining. The market moves all the time, and the reason why the market is so jumpy like this, and it isn't just some straight vertical, horizontal, diagonal line, is because it's represented by the buys and sells, the bid and the ask. That's the only reason why it changes price throughout the day. A lot of people don't realize that when they buy stock, it's the same thing. The price of the stock is only represented by what the last person bought that stock for. It's not just some price in the market. It's actually kind of like the barter system. It's what somebody is willing to pay for it. So that's the same thing with this currency. The price of it is just what the last person bought it and sold it for. So that's why it changes all the time. It's always being bought and sold for lower prices. So sometimes people have to purchase it for way more than they thought it for. And that is why it's always changing price and always changing, because people are currently buying and selling it nonstop all day, every day, except for really the weekends. But during the day, people are going crazy over it, buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling. And that's why all these jumps occur. Sometimes the buying and the selling is very, very, very frequent and quite volatile because of news events that come out representing a particular currency's overall value in the market, like employment data, like the Brexit. That is fundamental analysis. That is looking at news events, trying to predict the overall pattern of the market and where the market is heading based on the percentage of the overall value of the news event that's coming out. So the news event and the fundamental information that you need in order to predict the market based on news events is all going to be available in the calendar, news, and trader talk. Those are going to be your big things if you want to look at fundamental analysis. And we're going to take a peek at that a little bit later just to show you guys exactly what it looks like. So this area up here is all fundamental. This is fundamental analysis. Down here is technical. This is looking at candlestick formations in time increments in order to determine where the market's heading. It's very important, in my opinion, is that if you're looking at technical analysis and you're trying to identify breakouts in just current trending patterns, that is shorter gains in the market, in my opinion. I use technical analysis specifically with the mobile device a lot because that allows me to see exactly where the market's heading in a short period of time. You can get in and get out 10-minute, 15-minute trades for a good amount of profit. If you're looking at overall general patterns, like analyzing the rate hikes or rate cuts in the US dollar, analyzing the current price of oil and how that affects the Canadian dollar, or analyzing how the Brexit will affect the Great Britain pound, that is all fundamental analysis. That's using news events to predict the pattern of the market. So that, in my opinion, is more long-term. So when I'm making more long-term accurate predictions, I'm looking at fundamental analysis. When I'm trying to make short-term gains, I'm always looking at technical analysis. So that's why it's really important to use the two together, especially if you're going from Forex to binary, because binary is always short. The time increment that most people use on the platform for binary options is only about 10 minutes. So it's very short. That's why you need technical analysis for binary options. And we've said that before in our binary options webinars. Let's keep moving forward if you guys have fallen asleep from that little spiel I just did. Okay, wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay, so this is a really cool identifying pattern for a trend. So if you guys can see this, this is what I mean by the charts never move in diagonal motions, you know, never a straight line like these arrows. It's always up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like a zigzag, like a lightning pattern. You're going to see that all the time in markets, and that is what we call a trend. So you can see here that USD CAD was trending downward. You see this up-down pattern. That's a massive trend. If you see this pattern breaking out, you know that you can sell it because you know it's going down, but that's a very small increment. You can see that this pattern is heading down, so if you manage to catch it, even at this point right here, you would still make profit as long as you got out at this point down here. I'll get on my spotlight again just so you guys can see this. So like I said, if you're identifying this current trend, like you're seeing it's going up and going down, then you sell here when it's starting to go back up again, and you could have made a whole bunch of profit right here. That's using technical analysis to make it. So right here is a trend upward. This is a massive upward trend. It's been going on for quite some time, and this is all live. You can see that this is July 19th down here at the bottom. This is a trend upward in USD CAD currently, right? This is throughout the day. You can see that this trend right here has been moving steadily upward and will more than likely continue upward unless there's some fundamental news piece to knock it off its current track. But what happened right here in this circle? Well, this was a fundamental news piece that caused the trend to shift directions, and that's generally what happens in the market. This fundamental news piece caused the market to shift. So what was it that caused this trend to shift upward from its current trend downward? Well, if you guys were paying attention to the news today, you would see that basically there was a better housing starts that were expected in the U.S. economy. So that's, again, a fundamental news piece. Also, oil dropped, which is always a big massive effector of the Canadian economy. Canada is totally reliant on oil. They totally rely on oil. The Canadian dollar always mirrors exactly what's happening in oil, and everybody's worrying about this supply glut now. They were going up a bit because of the tensions in Turkey. People were worried about supply of oil. However, that's totally gone now because the coup in Turkey's over. So everybody was really kind of getting worried now about this massive recession that's hitting Canada as a cause of oil continually going down. And there's actually reports that this next this next quarter is going to be very bad for oil. Oil will keep on heading down, which means this trend might actually keep continuing upward for the short term, maybe even the long term. So this is a good analysis right here for you guys to look at if you're looking at something to get into long term. Going long on USD CAD might be a good point right here. It was heading downward. The trend was definitely pointing downward. However, this fundamental news piece has now caused a shift in sentiment. Now it's heading upward. So that's why they work very well in conjunction with each other. You can see that this is definitely trending upward. What caused the shift? Well, the shift was caused by a fundamental news piece in the fact that oil is now affecting the Canadian dollar and the US dollar is receiving some better than expected GDP figures. A lot of people were hating on the US dollar because of one of the worst non-farm payroll reports came out a couple months ago. And also the Brexit really hurt the US dollar's chance at a rate hike. But now everybody's focused back on oil and the Canadian dollar. So who knows, we could see USD CAD start rising to some levels in the near future. So that is a really good example, and that's literally what happened today of this little elbow that occurred because of a fundamental news piece knocking the trend off its current course. So this is what I mean by a trend, guys. You're always, if you bet with the trend, more than likely you're going to be in the right. You're going to be getting right, especially if you're looking for short-term gains. Again, if you're like, well, I can't look at my computer all day for short-term games. I got to go to work. I got to walk my dog. I got to do this. I got to do that. Well, no problem. Go on to X-Mobile. X-Mobile is fantastic when it comes to doing these short-term games and trends. We've done mobile trading before. It basically will show you exactly what to do, and you can just go in and go out whenever you want to because you have it on your phone. You can do it wherever you are in the world. So we've done that before. I've shown you guys how easy it is to make money off small little trends in the mobile game. If you want more clarity into that, feel free to go onto our YouTube channel. You can watch the mobile trading application webinar. That's going to provide some definitely insight into current trending patterns. So this is a great example of basically trading Forex and using trends to your advantage. Let's go on to the next thing. So binary trading. Binary trading is a little bit different because the binary options, you can only ever view a binary option chart in an hour increment. Obviously, you can hop back onto the Forex side of the platform and identify the overall trend for the day or for the month or the year, but options provide a little bit of a snapshot into the market because they show the hour-long trend. So the hour-long trend is pretty cool because you can see here on AUD USD, the trend is definitely pointing downward, right? We're almost even seeing a zigzag pattern right here for AUD USD, right? Remember what I mean by the trend, guys. The trend is trying to show us where the market is heading. Well, if you look at these two patterns here, the trend is most certainly heading downward on Euro GPB and AUD USD, right? The trend is definitely downward. So our instincts would tell us now that if we press down for a period of time, if we press down on the binary chart, chances are we're going to get this binary bet right. So that's exactly what I would do on binary options. Most individuals, when they pick binary options, they just look for it to hit like a low point and then bet up, thinking that, okay, well, it's down now, it's got to go back up. That's not the case. Because of the trend, generally speaking, if it's heading downward, it will keep heading downward unless there's a fundamental news piece to knock it off its current course of action. So that is why technical analysis works very, very well with binary options. For those of you that saw this binary option page on our last webinar, you'll know this one already, but this is a really cool chart. Basically, it shows you that these were all in evaluation with the US dollar. The US dollar was tanking on this day, and you can see that all the trends were pointing against the US dollar. You see, down with Euro USD, up USD JPY, down GPB USD, up USD franc. So they were all trends pointing in one direction. So we went with the trend, and we got all four of them right. You can see the options, the result right there was $90 each one. So it was pretty obvious. We just literally bet those four that were on our screen right now with the trend. We got all of them right. So it's a great example of using technical analysis in the short term when it comes to binary options trading. So that's a very good method. A lot of individuals, when they do binary options trading, don't use any sort of analysis when they do it. They just try to eyeball the charts and just bet without any knowledge. Don't do that. It's really easy, and the program makes it very simple to use an hour-long trend strategy in order to predict the market. Make sure, however, to increase your expiry time. Make sure to have it around 10 minutes or so. That's definitely what I try to have in mind, just to make sure there's enough movement in the market, because you can see here that each of these trend lines are about 8 minutes in between each other, right? If you look closely at each of the trends, they're about 8 minutes in between each other. So you want to make sure that your expiry time is about 8 minutes. I hope that made sense, guys. I want to hop on the platform quick just so we can see all this in kind of real time. This is obviously a live platform. This is just a demo account that I have open right now, just quickly to show you guys. So this is USD CAD, again, the exact same chart that we saw before. As you can see, the trend is most definitely pointed upward right now. So let's go ahead and just take a long position. Again, taking a long position is just buying, pressing this blue button right here. The trade execution is right away, so we got the current buy in there. So let's show you guys how to morph the candlestick formation. So right now the 15-minute chart is definitely showing this kind of upward pattern right here. Let's look at a 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart showing the same thing, right? Is huge trend upward. Let's see what an hour-long chart's showing us. So it's kind of the same thing again. We definitely had a downward pattern, but again, we definitely had some piece of news right here on July 15th, and I would probably have no trouble finding that caused the market to move back up. And you know exactly what that was the Brexit. That was what caused it. That was when basically Brexit hit its low point and the US dollar skyrocketed in value because of the flight to safety. Let's look at the hour 4 chart. So that's kind of all over the place. So we don't want to look at the hour 4 chart. That's kind of showing us since June 24th, it's been up and down definitely, but that's a good thing. Look at this from July 14th. There's definitely this nice long trend line pointing upward right here. So we could definitely see it go back up, maybe to $3.11. That's a good amount of pips right there for sure for a gain. So it's definitely a good area to maybe buy right now for the US dollar, maybe for the short term, maybe for a week or so. We'll see. So that's using Forex with technical analysis. Let's look at fundamental analysis. So like I said, your fundamental analysis screens are up here on the right-hand side. Trader Talk, News, and Calendar. Let's go to Calendar. So as you can see here, we have all the countries listed and the corresponding impact that it might have. When it's red, this means it's going to have a very high impact on the country's currency. See, a lot of it is consumer price. That has a big one. That's a really good snapshot into the country's currency. Remember, the housing starts had a really big impact on the US dollar today. You can see that they came in higher than forecasted. It was forecasted to come in at 1170. It came in at 1189. So it came in better than expected. That caused the US dollar to increase. If something comes in better than forecasted, it's always going to cause the corresponding dollar to increase every single time. But this calendar is really cool because it shows you guys what currencies will more than likely be moving and what currencies have the potential to be knocked off of their current course, right? So tomorrow, there's some USD ones. We got weekless jobless claims, Fed index, existing home sales. Those are pretty big. Those could, if they were quite monumental and quite different, knock it off course. The forecast from the previous value isn't too different though, so it probably shouldn't have that much of a movement on the market. If anything, it will go up because it's actually forecasted that it had increased, right? Look at this weekly jobless claims. It was 254 last week. Now they're showing 265, so it could be better. Friday, what's going on Friday? We got some stuff for Canada. So this could cause Canada, that USD CAD trade, to be knocked off course, right? We got consumer price index coming out, which, you know, actually is forecasted to become in less. So we definitely got to keep our eye on that for sure, because if it comes in more, that could really affect our long USD CAD trade right now. Okay, so that's just kind of how you use fundamental analysis and technical analysis together. If you want to figure out, oh man, that trend was really hit a couple of days ago, you can look through old news data right here to try to figure out exactly what happened. Trader Talk is also super cool. Trader Talk is actually a trader that we currently have in London that kind of trades throughout the day, and we'll talk about different things. Like an update about Turkish police. This would have really caused oil to maybe shift off course. These are all kind of just up-to-date headlines that you guys can read about and see what's going on in the current market. So let's look at options real quick just to end off the webinar here. I know we're just about to hit the 30-minute mark, so we're at a perfect time. Let's see if we can identify some prevailing trends in the options game here, just really quick. So we got some nice big long charts here. FRA 40, that's an indice. They don't really go along with trends, not particularly. Maybe though, but still the trend is looking not too great on the FRA 40. Coffee trend is most certainly downward, but again, coffee is traded. I don't even think it's moving right now at all. Like you can see, they're not moving at all. It's just kind of staying around 147452. I normally don't try to trade coffee on a binary option. It's a little bit difficult because you can see the market doesn't move too much. People don't really buy and sell coffee as frequently as they would for something like oil or Euro USD. Oil, the trend is pointing downward. Again, that would be a very good binary option. Let's move it up to like 10 minutes and see if we can get this guy. Okay, let's see what else. AUD USD, that's pretty good. Looks like the trend's heading upward just a bit. We can go ahead and do that too. I'm not going to make you guys stick around. The market isn't moving too much, especially for Australia right now because the it's obviously closed. But you can see we're actually almost in the money right away on that one. It's currently ticking right over, just right at it right now. So there's definitely movement to be made. At 10 minutes, we could definitely see these guys go positive. Gold is kind of sticking around, not doing too much. USD CAD again heading upward. We can see that trend that we identified before throughout the Forex pattern. Definitely heading upward. I don't know if I want to trade that because it's right at the top right now. I'd rather it kind of dip back down a bit before I trade it back up again. So that's a little bit risky again when you're identifying a trend in USD CAD, but it's already at the top. It's a little bit difficult because, again, it doesn't follow that straight diagonal line, right? It goes up and down. So you might want to wait a minute or two here for it to maybe hit back down to the 30361 mark and then trade it back up. That would be a really good binary bet and a very smart maneuver for traders to do that. Euro USD, tough to say on that trend there. I don't really like it. It's not telling me too much. GPB USD is heading downward slightly. That could be a good one. You see it definitely was going down and then tick back up. We could definitely see it go down even further here. That could be a good trend downward. USD JPY, same kind of story. Could be a really good bet downward too here. We definitely got this massive looking nice long trend downward here. And that's about it, guys. That's all I really wanted to go over today. Let's see how those are doing just to kind of cap it off. I know we're still a little negative, but we got a lot of time. That's why you guys need to pick those long expiry times just to make sure. Oh, oil tick back up. You see here? Yeah, that was what it was. So it was going back up to the trend line right now, so it could tick back down. But it seems like the Australian dollar trade, we're definitely, if we just would have waited for a couple more minutes on that oil trade, it would have been perfect. So the Aussie dollar trade, we're currently up right now. We can see that it's ticked above, it ticked back down, ticked below. But that oil trade's really got to go down. If we had just waited maybe a couple more minutes, we would have had a perfect binary bet right there. So that's why it pays to be patient on binary too, right? If you're waiting for a long time, you could definitely see these charts speak to you. It's too bad. That would have been absolutely perfect. But AUD USD is definitely ticking around. It's definitely trending upward, so we just got to wait for a bit. It'll go in the positive. It's in the positive there. We can only hope that oil maybe goes back down as well. So that's about it for us from Currency House, guys. We really hope you enjoyed that webinar. I know we loved having you. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Please let your trade analysis know. And if you guys need anything from us, you can feel free to email us at info@currencyhouse. We are more than happy to help you guys out anytime you need it. But from all of us here at Currency House, guys, we really hope you enjoyed that. Have yourself a fantastic evening, and best of luck trading on the markets today.